Following story is a translated and adapted conversation, recounting supernatural experiences from around the world. This content is intended for entertainment purposes only. Listen with an open mind and enjoy the thrill of the unknown. The content in this video is purely for entertainment. Viewer discretion is advised. If you are easily frightened, be prepared some stories might just send chills down your spine. If you're ready, turn off the lights, put on your headphones, and immerse yourself in the world of the unexplained. The disappearing footprints. Thailand's dense jungles are legendary among hikers both for their breathtaking beauty and the eerie tales that surround them. Deep in these ancient woods, myths of spirits and mysterious apparitions have been passed down through generations. Yet, for most thrill seekers, the allure of adventure outweighs any lingering fear. Four friends set off on one such adventure, driven by curiosity and the thrill of the unknown. Nate, the confident leader of the group, always ready to take on a challenge. Pat, his childhood friend, playful but cautious, often the voice of reason. Beam, the quiet observer with a passion for photography, hoping to capture the jungle's beauty. Maya, adventurous and bold, unafraid of ghost stories, always seeking the next thrill. Their destination, Fukraduing National Park, a place of majestic cliffs and dense forests. It was renowned for its stunning viewpoints and mystical atmosphere, especially at dusk. But the locals spoke in hushed tones about strange occurrences, footprints that appeared around campsites and vanished without a trace. Just old wives' tales, Nate had laughed, waving off the stories. Probably just animals or some prank by other hikers. Pat had hesitated. Still, it's weird, right? Footprints that just stopped. Beam grinned behind his camera, already imagining the eerie photos he could capture. Perfect for the blog. Maybe we'll even catch a ghost on camera. Maya rolled her eyes. Don't be ridiculous. Let's go find out for ourselves. With that, the decision was made. The forest was alive, vibrant with the sounds of nature. Birds chirped above, unseen creatures rustled in the undergrowth, and the air was thick with the scent of earth and leaves. Sunlight filtered through the canopy, painting the trail in dappled shadows. The group laughed and chatted as they trekked deeper into the jungle, unaware of the watchful eyes that followed their every step. Beam snapped photos eagerly, capturing the golden light that danced on the leaves. This place is amazing, so peaceful. Pat, glancing around nervously, muttered, a little too quiet, don't you think? Maya smirked, giving him a playful shove. You're such a chicken, Pat. It's just a forest. But as they ventured further, the air grew heavier. The trees seemed to close in, their twisted branches forming ghostly shapes. An unsettling silence blanketed the area, broken only by the crunch of leaves underfoot. They reached a small clearing as the sun began to dip below the horizon, the sky ablaze with hues of orange and pink. It was the perfect spot to set up camp. Nate dropped his backpack, stretching his arms. All right, let's get the tents up before it gets dark. Beam wandered to the edge of the clearing, his camera clicking away. Through the lens, he spotted something odd, shallow indentations in the dirt, leading from the trees towards their campsite. Footprints. He frowned, following the trail with his eyes. But they stopped abruptly in the middle of the clearing, as if the person had vanished into thin air. A chill ran down his spine. Guys, you might want to see this. As darkness settled, they gathered around the campfire, the flames dancing in their eyes. The forest whispered around them, the breeze carrying faint murmurs. Pat shivered, pulling his jacket tighter. So about those footprints, how did they just stop? Nate shrugged. Maybe someone backtracked, trying to play a trick. Maya scoffed, poking at the fire with a stick. Or maybe it's one of those ghost stories you love so much. Pat hesitated before speaking, his voice low. I heard a story once from my grandfather, about this forest. They all looked at him, curiosity piqued. Pat's eyes were fixed on the fire, his voice barely above a whisper. He said, a long time ago, people would come here and never return. They'd find footprints leading nowhere. They believed it was the spirit of a lost traveler, someone who died alone in the woods searching for a way out. Beam's camera clicked, capturing the eerie glow on Pat's face. A lost spirit, he echoed. Pat nodded. They say if you follow the footprints, you'll get lost too. And you'll never find your way back. A cold breeze rustled the trees, the shadows swaying around them. The campfire flickered, casting twisted shapes against the dark forest. Maya rolled her eyes, but her voice was strained. Nice story, Pat, but come on, it's just a legend. Nate laughed, throwing another log onto the fire. Exactly. Just a story. We'll be fine. Now, let's get some sleep. Tomorrow's a long hike. One by one, they retreated to their tents, the fire slowly dying down. The forest seemed to breathe around them, the whispers growing louder. Beam lingered by the dying fire, his camera still in his hands. He glanced towards the clearing's edge, where the footprints had stopped so abruptly. His skin prickled. Turning away, he dismissed the uneasy feeling. It was just a story, just footprints, nothing more. Yet, as he zipped up his tent, a soft rustling echoed through the clearing, followed by the faint sound of footsteps, circling the camp, unseen, untraceable, relentless. Morning broke gently, the golden sun casting soft rays over the campsite. Birds chirped, and the forest slowly came to life. But within the camp, a strange heaviness lingered. Beam was the first to wake. As he unzipped his tent, he squinted at the bright sunlight. Stretching his stiff limbs, he stepped out and froze. The dirt around their camp was disturbed footprints. Dozens of them, circling each tent, overlapping and crisscrossing in an erratic pattern. Yet, they all shared one unsettling detail: they led nowhere. Each trail stopped abruptly, vanishing as if the walker had simply disappeared. Hey guys, you need to see this. Nate emerged, rubbing his eyes. What's up, man? But his face fell as he took in the scene. What the hell? Maya and Pat joined them, their expressions shifting from confusion to fear. Pat's voice trembled, echoing his unease from the night before. No way, it's just like the story. Maya scoffed, but her bravado wavered. Maybe some other hikers were messing with us. Nate scanned the perimeter, his jaw clenched. No, look closer. The prints are too shallow. If they were fresh, they'd be deeper in the mud, and they're all the same size. Beam's camera clicked repeatedly, capturing every angle of the bizarre scene. But behind the lens, his hands were shaking. Maya shook her head. This is insane, it doesn't make sense. Pat whispered, his face pale. They're just like my grandfather described. Footprints that lead nowhere, left by the lost spirit. Silence fell over the group, the wind rustling the leaves. It felt colder, the sunlight unable to chase away the lingering chill. Determined to find an explanation, they decided to investigate. They followed the footprints, tracing the odd patterns. Each trail moved in circles, spirals, and zigzags, all converging near the clearing's edge where the jungle grew dense and shadowed. Nate crouched, examining the last print, which stopped just before the tree line. He ran his fingers over the dirt. No broken branches, no signs of anyone walking into the forest. It just stops. Beam snapped more photos, his curiosity battling his fear. How can that be possible? People don't just vanish. Pat's voice wavered. They do if they're not people anymore. Maya rolled her eyes, masking her fear with skepticism. Pat, seriously, you're saying it's a ghost? Pat didn't answer, his gaze fixed on the tree line, where shadows seemed to shift unnaturally. Nate stood, shaking his head. All right, enough of this. It's just some weird coincidence. Let's pack up and keep moving. We'll find another spot tonight, somewhere less creepy. The others nodded, relieved to leave the clearing behind. But as they packed, the air felt heavy, as if the forest was watching. Beam glanced over his shoulder, the camera hanging around his neck. For a split second, he thought he saw something, a silhouette among the trees, watching them. But when he blinked, it was gone. His heart raced. Just my imagination, right? He whispered to himself, but the forest remained silent, offering no reassurance. They hiked deeper into the jungle, the day slipping away as they searched for a new campsite. The forest grew denser, the trees gnarled and ancient. Shadows danced under the thick canopy, and the air grew colder. Eventually, they found another clearing, a smaller, more sheltered spot surrounded by towering trees. They set up camp quickly, each of them casting wary glances at the woods around them. Dinner was a quiet affair, the tension palpable. No one mentioned the footprints, but the memory lingered, unspoken and heavy. As night fell, the darkness felt thicker, pressing in from all sides. The fire's glow seemed weaker, barely illuminating their faces. Beam sat apart from the group, reviewing his photos. As he scrolled through the shots, his blood ran cold. In one photo taken near the edge of the first campsite, there was a figure, blurred and shadowy, standing just behind a tree, its face obscured. It was human-shaped but wrong. Its limbs were too long, its posture twisted. His heart pounded as he zoomed in, his hands trembling. But the more he looked, the less sense it made. The figure was just there, watching. "Guys," he called out, his voice shaky. "You need to see this." They crowded around, staring at the screen in shock. Maya's face went pale. That wasn't there when we were packing up. Pat's voice was barely a whisper. "It's the lost spirit, it followed us." Nate snatched the camera, his eyes wide. "No, it's just a trick of the light. Shadows or something." But his voice lacked conviction. A chilling wind blew through the clearing, snuffing out the fire. Darkness swallowed them, the forest alive with whispers. Maya gasped. Did you hear that?" The sound was faint but unmistakable footsteps, circling the camp, crunching leaves and snapping twigs. Beam's camera flashed, capturing the darkness, but revealing nothing. Yet the footsteps continued, growing closer and closer. Their breaths were shallow, their eyes wide with fear as the invisible presence moved around them, unseen but undeniably there. Nate's voice broke the silence, hoarse and trembling. "Get in the tents now." They scrambled into their tents, zipping them up tight, their hearts racing. The footsteps continued, circling relentlessly, never pausing. Beam clutched his camera, his eyes glued to the tent wall, shadows dancing across the fabric. The footsteps never stopped, round and round all night long. As dawn's first light crept into the clearing, the footsteps ceased. Silence fell, heavy and suffocating. But the fear remained, rooted deep within them. And outside, the footprints awaited, surrounding the tents. Countless trails that led nowhere and ended abruptly, fading into nothingness. Morning brought light but no comfort. The group stood outside their tents, faces pale as they stared at the footprints. More of them this time, encircling each tent in perfect, unsettling spirals. Beam's voice shook as he whispered, "They were here all night." Pat swallowed hard, his eyes wide with fear. "It's the lost spirit, it followed us, just like in the stories." Maya shivered, her bravado crumbling. This isn't possible. Footprints don't just appear and disappear. Nate's jaw clenched. "Pack up. We're getting out of here." His order was clear, but his voice wavered. They moved quickly, stuffing gear into backpacks, all the while feeling eyes on them, watching from the shadows. As they finished, Beam took another look through his camera. But this time, he couldn't bring himself to review the photos. He didn't want to see that figure again. He didn't want proof that it was real. They walked in tense silence, following the trail that wound deeper into the jungle. The air grew heavier, and the forest seemed to close in around them. The trees stood ancient and gnarled, their twisted branches forming eerie shapes overhead. Pat whispered, almost to himself, "The lost spirit, it finds travelers who stray too far. It follows them until they're lost, too." Maya shot him a glare. "Stop it. You're not helping," but her voice trembled. Nate's face was hard. "Just keep moving. We'll reach the main trail before nightfall," but the forest had other plans. The path grew narrower, vines tangled at their feet, and the trees grew denser, blocking out the sunlight. It felt as if the jungle was leading them somewhere or keeping them from leaving. Beam's heart raced as the shadows danced around them, flickering at the corners of his vision. He tightened his grip on the camera, using it as a lifeline to reality. But the sensation of being watched never left him. They reached a clearing as the sun began to dip below the horizon. It was silent to silent. Not a single bird sang, and even the wind seemed to avoid the place. In the center of the clearing lay a cluster of stones, arranged in a circle. Inside the circle, the ground was bare, as if nothing dared grow there. Pat's face went pale. This is a spirit's shrine. An offering ground to keep it away. Maya backed up, her eyes wide. Why would someone build this here? Nate's face hardened. "It doesn't matter. We're not staying here. We'll keep moving." But as he turned, his face fell. The path they came from was gone, replaced by dense undergrowth and twisting vines. Beam's stomach dropped. That was the way back. "I'm sure of it." Maya's voice shook. No, we didn't turn off the path. It was right there." Pat's whisper cut through the rising panic. "We're lost just like the story. It's leading us in circles. It won't let us leave." Nate tried to hide his fear, his voice firm. No, we're not lost. We just need to find another way. Let's go. But as they turned to leave the clearing, the air grew cold. An icy breeze swept through, carrying a faint whisper. A voice, soft and distant, echoing through the trees. It was calling their names. Maya gasped, Did you hear that? Pat nodded, his face ashen. It knows who we are. The voice grew louder, more insistent, whispering each of their names over and over. It sounded close, just behind them, but when they turned, no one was there. Nate shouted, his voice trembling. Move, now. They ran, stumbling through the jungle, branches clawing at them. The whispers followed, relentless, echoing all around. And through it all, the footsteps returned, crunching leaves and snapping twigs, always just behind them but never seen. They finally stopped, gasping for breath, as night swallowed the forest. The darkness was suffocating, the air thick with dread. They set up camp, too exhausted to keep running. No one spoke as they lit the fire, their faces illuminated by the flickering flames. But the shadows were deeper, darker, moving just beyond the firelight. Beam sat apart, his back to a tree, gripping his camera. He didn't want to look through the lens again, not after what he saw before. But his curiosity won out, and he began flipping through the photos. His heart skipped a beat. In each picture, just at the edge of the frame, was the figure. A shadowy silhouette, twisted and distorted, its face always hidden, watching, following. His hands shook as he scrolled to the last photo taken just before they reached the clearing. The figure was closer, standing among the trees, its head tilted at an unnatural angle. It had no face, just a blank, pale surface where its features should be. Beam's scream shattered the silence. The others rushed over, and he showed them the photo. Maya's hand flew to her mouth. What is that? Pat's voice was hollow. It's the spirit. It's showing itself because it's close now. Nate tried to sound strong, but his voice wavered. It's just a trick of the light. We're tired, we're seeing things. But then the footsteps began again, circling the camp, slow and deliberate. The shadows moved, growing longer, reaching toward them. The whisper returned, echoing through the trees. But this time, it was angry, demanding. Maya's eyes widened. It wants something. Pat's face turned pale. It wants us to join it. To be lost forever. The fire flickered, struggling against the cold wind. The shadows danced, twisting into shapes that looked almost human. Beam's camera flashed, capturing the darkness, but revealing nothing. Yet the footsteps continued, closing in. Nate's voice was a broken whisper. We can't run, we can't hide, it won't let us go. The wind howled, carrying the spirit's voice, now a chilling wail. The shadows pressed closer, their shapes shifting into faces blank and faceless, just like the figure in the photo. The fire died, plunging them into darkness. And the footsteps stopped, right behind them. Darkness swallowed the camp as the fire died, leaving only the cold whispers of the forest. The footsteps had stopped, but an unbearable presence loomed behind them, cold, menacing, and hungry. Beam's hand tightened around his camera, his eyes wide with fear. It's here right behind us. Nate's voice was a trembling whisper. Don't look back. Maya's shoulders shook, tears streaming down her face. I can feel it watching me. Double quotes. Pat's voice cracked, his eyes shut tight. It's waiting for us to turn around for us to see it. The whispering grew louder, each voice echoing their names, pleading, weeping, and accusing. It was as if countless souls were trapped within the shadows, reaching out for help or revenge. The temperature dropped further, and the ground beneath them felt icy cold. The darkness seemed to move, swirling around their feet, twisting into shapes, hands, faces, hollow eyes with no souls behind them. Nate clenched his fists, his voice desperate. We can't stay here. We have to move. But the moment he took a step, the ground shifted. Footprints appeared in the dirt, circling him. Spiraling inward. They were small at first but grew larger, heavier, sinking into the earth as if something massive and invisible stood among them. The whispers turned to wails, a cry of sorrow and rage that filled the air, echoing off the trees. The shadows twisted, rising up, taking the shape of the figure in Beam's photos, a faceless form, its head tilted unnaturally, limbs elongated and distorted. Maya screamed, "It's real, it's right there." But before they could move, the shadows lunged. The darkness wrapped around them, cold as death, pulling them toward the center of the clearing. They landed in the center of the stone circle they had found earlier. The air grew heavier, and the ground within the circle felt cursed, lifeless. Pat's voice was hollow, his face pale. This is where it died, where it was forgotten. Nate's eyes widened. What are you talking about? Pat's gaze never left the ground. The legend the spirit was once a child, lost in this jungle. No one ever found her. Her soul wandered, searching for someone, anyone, but she was left behind. Beam's hands trembled. And now she's trying to take us to keep us with her so she's not alone anymore. The shadows shifted, and from the darkness, the figure emerged. Its body was twisted, limbs contorted, but its head was that of a child, face blank and featureless, as if erased by time. It moved toward them, its body gliding over the ground, arms outstretched. The whispers grew louder, echoing with sorrow and anger. Maya sobbed, "She's alone, she's been alone for so long." Pat's voice shook. "She wants us to stay, to be lost forever." The faceless child tilted its head, its body shuddering as if crying. It reached out, fingers stretched, almost touching Maya's face. Nate shouted, "No, we're not staying here." He grabbed a branch and swung it, but the stick passed through the figure as if it were smoke. Beam's voice cracked with fear. "We can't fight her, she's not human anymore." Pat's eyes widened as a memory surfaced. The shrine, the stones, it's a boundary to keep her in. Nate's voice grew frantic. "Then how do we get out?" Pat's hands shook as he pointed. "We have to break the circle, the stones are binding her here, it's the only way." Without another word, they scrambled to the edge of the clearing. The faceless child let out a wail, a mournful, piercing scream that shook the ground. The shadows rose, clawing at them, trying to pull them back. Maya kicked at one of the stones, her voice breaking. "I don't want to die here." Nate threw himself against another stone, pushing it out of the circle. The ground shook, and the shadows writhed in pain. Pat and Beam joined in, tearing apart the circle, stone by stone. With each one they moved, the faceless child's form flickered, its body distorting, its wails growing more desperate. The air grew colder, the darkness thicker, and the voices of the lost grew louder, screaming, pleading for release. Beam shouted, "One more, move that one." Nate lifted the last stone, hurling it away. The ground trembled, and the faceless child let out one final scream, its body shattering into shadows that spiraled into the sky. The darkness lifted, and the jungle was silent once more. Dawn broke as they stumbled out of the forest, exhausted and shaken. They didn't speak as they reached their car, driving away without looking back. Days later, back in the safety of his room, Beam went through his camera's photos again. His heart raced as he saw the figure in each shot, faceless and watching. But as he scrolled to the last picture, his blood ran cold. It was a photo of them, standing in the clearing, moving the stones. But behind them, just at the edge of the frame, the faceless child stood, her head tilted, fingers outstretched, reaching. And in the reflection of her blank, pale face were his eyes staring back at him. Beam dropped the camera, his heart pounding. He could still hear the whisper, faint, distant, but unmistakable. It was calling his name. The road not on the map, it started as a simple weekend getaway. A group of friends, eager to escape the city chaos, planned a hiking trip to a remote national park in northern Thailand. The destination was renowned for its untouched beauty, dense forests, and breathtaking waterfalls. Beam, the adventurous one, organized everything. Confident and always chasing excitement, he was the glue that held the group together. Nate, his best friend since childhood, was the cautious one. A realist at heart, Nate preferred safety over thrill, but never let Beam go on an adventure alone. Lisa, curious and cheerful, loved exploring nature. Her camera was always ready to capture every moment, especially the candid ones. And then there was Pat. Humorous and carefree, he balanced the group's dynamic with his light-hearted jokes, keeping everyone's spirits high. The plan was simple: hike through the marked trails, camp by the waterfall, and return by Sunday evening. But fate had other plans, plans that weren't marked on any map. The journey began early Saturday morning. The road leading to the national park was narrow and winding, flanked by towering trees that seemed to whisper as the car sped past. "This place is beautiful," Lisa murmured, her eyes wide with wonder. "It feels untouched, ancient." Beam grinned, glancing at her through the rearview mirror. "That's the point. We're going off the grid this weekend. Nate, sitting in the passenger seat, checked the map on his phone. We should reach the entrance soon. Stick to the main path, all right, Pat laughed. You know Beam, if he sees a side trail, we're following it. Beam winked, no risk, no fun. They reached the park entrance by noon, the sun high above, its rays piercing through the dense canopy. The air was humid, filled with the earthy scent of moss and fallen leaves. The trail was marked clearly, a dirt path winding through the forest, leading deeper into the heart of the jungle. This is it, Beam announced, slinging his backpack over his shoulder. Ready for an adventure, Nate sighed. Just don't wander off, all right, Beam laughed. Relax, what's the worst that could happen? None of them noticed the old man watching from a distance, his eyes hollow, face solemn. He had seen many like them before, young, eager, and unaware of the dangers that lay beyond the marked trails, but they never listened. As they hiked deeper into the jungle, Lisa snapped pictures of ancient trees and blooming wildflowers. Pat tried to climb a fallen log, slipping and earning a round of laughter. The atmosphere was light, carefree until they stumbled upon the road. It was narrow, almost hidden beneath overgrown vines and fallen branches. A dirt path, worn but clearly man-made, leading deeper into the woods. Beam's eyes lit up. Check this out, it's not on the map. Nate frowned, pulling out his phone. That's weird, there's no road marked here. It's just supposed to be forest. Lisa shivered. It feels out of place. Like it doesn't belong here. Pat scoffed. Probably just an old logging trail. Let's see where it goes, Nate hesitated. I don't know, we should stick to the main path. Beam rolled his eyes. Come on, man. Where's your sense of adventure? Lisa bit her lip. Just don't go too far, okay, Beam grinned. Relax. We'll be back before sunset. They followed the road, curiosity leading them deeper. The trees grew denser, their branches twisting above, forming a canopy that blocked out the sun. The air grew colder, heavier, carrying a faint, musty scent. As they walked, Beam remembered a story he'd heard from his grandfather. A local legend about a hidden road in the jungle. A road that wasn't on any map, a road that led travelers astray, trapping them in a place that didn't belong to this world. He laughed, shaking off the thought. It was just a story, right? They walked for hours, the road winding endlessly, twisting deeper into the forest. The air grew colder, shadows lengthening as the sun began to dip behind the mountains. Pat groaned. Are we there yet? Beam frowned. There where? We're just exploring. Nate stopped, glancing around. Wait, are we going in circles? Lisa's face paled. No, we've been walking straight, haven't we? Pat pointed at a tree. I swear I've seen that knot before. Twice. Beam's confidence wavered. It's just a tree, man. They all looked the same. Nate checked his phone. No signal. The map refused to load. He swallowed hard. This road is not on any map. It doesn't make sense. Beam tried to laugh, but his voice was shaky. You're overthinking it. We just need to head back. They turned around, retracing their steps, but the road didn't lead back. It twisted, turned, and led them deeper, the trees growing thicker, the shadows darker. Lisa's voice trembled. This isn't the way we came. Pat's face turned pale. I don't remember any of this. Nate's eyes were wide with fear. It's changing. The road is changing. Beam's chest tightened. That's not possible. But as they walked, the path continued to shift, the trees bending unnaturally, their branches reaching out like twisted arms. The air grew colder, the forest growing silent. No birds, no insects, nothing. Only the faint sound of footsteps echoing behind them. Pat spun around. Who's there? The road was empty, but the footsteps continued growing closer. Lisa gripped Beam's arm. I don't think we're alone. Beam's heart raced. Run, now. They ran, following the road as it twisted, turned, and looped back on itself. No matter which way they went, it always led them deeper. Deeper into the darkness. For friends, Beam, Nate, Lisa, and Pat ventured into the dense forests of northern Thailand, seeking adventure and escape. But curiosity led them to an unmarked road, hidden deep within the jungle. A road that wasn't on any map. A road that twisted, turned, and refused to lead them back. Now, they are lost, trapped on a path that seems alive, changing with every step. And something is following them. They ran until their legs burned, hearts pounding against their chests. The trees blurred by, twisted branches reaching out like skeletal hands, brushing against their faces. Lisa stumbled, nearly fallen. Beam caught her, pulling her upright. "Keep going," Pat's voice was panicked. It's not stopping." The footsteps echoed behind them, relentless, matching their pace. They never saw anyone, but the presence was there, haunting, lurking just beyond the shadows. Nate's breathing was ragged. "This can't be happening, we're going in circles." They stopped, gasping for breath. The road stretched before them, winding deeper into the forest. Lisa looked around, her voice trembling. Did the trees move? Pat shook his head. No way. Trees don't move. But Nate's face was pale. Then how did we end up here? We turned back, didn't we? Beam's confidence shattered. We need to get off this road. Maybe if we cut through the forest. Nate hesitated. Leave the path? Are you insane? Beam's eyes were wild with fear. This road is a trap. It's leading us somewhere. We need to get out. Without waiting for a response, he plunged into the trees, branches snapping under his feet. The others followed, desperate to escape, but the forest was alive. The trees were closer than they seemed, their branches intertwining, blocking their path. The air grew colder, heavy with a musty scent that made it hard to breathe. Lisa shivered. It's so dark. The sun was out just a minute ago. Pat looked up, his voice shaking. I can't see the sky. Nate's voice was hollow. The branches there blocking it out, Beam's voice cracked. Keep moving. Don't look back, but the footsteps followed. Growing louder, closer. Lisa choked back a sob. It's right behind us. Double quotes. Nate's eyes widened. Run. They stumbled through the undergrowth, branches clawing at their clothes, roots twisting beneath their feet. The footsteps echoed, surrounding them, growing louder with every step. Pat tripped, falling hard. He looked up, eyes wide with terror. Help me. Beam pulled him up, his hands shaking. We're not leaving anyone behind. But as they ran, they realized the horrifying truth. No matter which direction they went, the road was always there, waiting for them. They stopped at a clearing, their breaths visible in the cold air. The road lay before them, winding endlessly through the trees. Nate's voice was hollow. This is impossible. Lisa clutched her camera, her hands shaking. How is it everywhere? Pat's face was pale. It's following us. The road is following us. Beam's fists clenched. No, it can't. Roads don't move. Nate's voice was distant. Unless it's not a road at all. The others looked at him, confused. Nate swallowed hard. I heard a story once, a local legend. My grandmother told me about a road that leads nowhere. Beam's eyes narrowed. What are you talking about? Nate's voice trembled. It's called the Lost Road. They say it appears to travelers who stray off the beaten path. A road that looks ordinary, but it's not part of this world. Lisa shivered. That's just a story, right? Nate's eyes were haunted. Those who follow it, they never come back. They wander forever, lost in a place that doesn't exist. Pat's voice was panicked. Stop messing with us, Nate. This is real. Nate's eyes were wide with fear. I know, that's what scares me. What if we're trapped? Beam's voice was firm. No, I refuse to believe that. We're getting out of here. We just need to find the right way. He looked at the road, its dirt path winding endlessly. It felt like it was watching them, waiting. They continued walking, each step heavy, the forest growing darker, colder. The footsteps never stopped, but now they were hearing voices. Whispers faint and distant, carried by the cold wind. Beam stopped, his eyes wide. Did you hear that? Lisa's face was pale. It had sounded like crying. Pat's voice was shaky. No way. There's no one else here. Nate's body stiffened. What if it's them? The lost travelers, the ones who never came back. The wind howled, the whispers growing louder. A voice, soft and broken, echoed through the trees. Help me. Lisa's eyes filled with tears. It had sounded like a child. Pat grabbed her arm. No. Don't listen. It's not real. The whispers grew, overlapping, echoing from all directions. Where am I? I can't find my way back. I don't want to be alone. Beam's heart raced. Stop it. Leave us alone. The forest went silent. And then the footsteps began again. But this time they were louder. Closer. The ground trembled, the trees swaying, shadows moving unnaturally. Something was coming. Something that didn't belong in this world. Beam's voice was raw with fear. Run. Don't look back. Just run. They ran, the road twisting beneath them, the forest closing in. But the footsteps followed, growing closer ... And the voices cried out, echoing through the darkness. Lost, alone, forgotten, just like them. For friends Beam, Nate, Lisa, and Pat are trapped on a road that defies logic, twisting endlessly through the dense forests of northern Thailand. A road that isn't on any map, a road that follows them, whispering their names, echoing the cries of the lost. No matter which way they run, the road is always there, waiting ... And the footsteps are getting closer. They ran until their legs gave out, collapsing on the cold dirt, gasping for breath. The road stretched before them, winding through the gnarled trees, disappearing into the darkness. Beam's hands trembled. We didn't go in a circle this time. It's a different path. Pat's face was pale. How is that possible? We ran straight. How did the road change? Nate looked back, his eyes wide with fear. It's playing with us. It wants us to keep walking. Lisa's voice was hollow. But where is it leading us? Pat's voice cracked. To where the others went, the ones who never came back. A cold wind howled, carrying faint whispers through the trees. Nate's face went white. Do you hear that? Lisa shivered. Voices, so many voices. The whispers grew louder, overlapping, echoing from all directions. Crying, begging, pleading, help me, I'm lost. I can't find the way out. Beam covered his ears. Stop, just stop. But the whispers continued, growing louder, more desperate. Nate's voice shook. They're all around us. Lisa clung to Pat, her eyes wide with terror. Who are they? Pat's voice was barely a whisper. The lost, the ones who followed this road and never found their way back. The air grew colder, the shadows around them growing darker, shifting, moving. Beam's eyes widened. They're moving. The shadows twisted, stretching along the ground, creeping towards them. Lisa backed away. No, this isn't real. Nate's voice trembled. We need to get off the road, now. They ran again, diving into the forest, the branches clawing at them, the ground uneven beneath their feet. But the shadows followed, slithering through the trees, reaching out with ghostly fingers. The whispers grew louder, echoing through the darkness. Don't leave me. Stay with us. Pat screamed. No, get away. He stumbled, falling to his knees. A shadow curled around his ankle, cold as ice. Pat's face went pale. It's cold, so cold. Beam grabbed him, pulling him free. Don't stop. Keep moving. The shadows hissed, retreating, but the cold lingered, chilling them to the bone. Lisa's teeth chattered. They don't want us to leave. Nate's eyes were wide with fear, because they can't leave. They found a clearing, collapsing in exhaustion. The shadows circled the edge, whispering, watching. Nate looked up, his face pale. They're not coming closer. Beam's voice was hollow. They can't. Not here. Pat hugged his knees, his whole body trembling. Why are they after us? Nate's voice was distant, haunted. They're trapped, lost on this road. They can't find their way out, and they don't want to be alone. Lisa's eyes filled with tears. That's why they're crying. Nate nodded. They want us to join them, to walk this road forever. Pat's voice broke. No, I don't want to stay here, I want to go home. Beam's fists clenched. We will. We need to figure out how. Nate looked at the road, its dirt path winding endlessly through the trees. This road, it's cursed. Lisa wiped her tears. What do you mean? Nate swallowed hard. My grandmother, she told me stories. About a road that appears to those who are lost, a road that leads nowhere. Pat's face went pale. The lost road. Nate nodded. Those who walk it never find their way back. They wander forever, their spirits trapped, waiting someone will take their place. Lisa's voice shook. Then if we don't find a way out, we'll become like them. Nate's eyes were hollow. Yes, we'll be lost forever. Pat hugged himself, shivering. No, I don't want to. Beam's voice was firm. We're not giving up. There has to be a way out. There has to be. But as he looked at the road, a cold chill ran down his spine. It felt like the road was watching them, waiting. They stood at the edge of the clearing, staring at the road. The shadows circled behind them, whispering, calling their names. Beam's voice was steady. We need to face it or we'll never leave. Nate's voice trembled. Face the road. Beam nodded. It wants us to walk it. It's leading us somewhere. If we refuse, we'll be trapped here forever. Pat's voice cracked. But where is it leading us? Lisa's eyes were wide with fear. To the end or to where the others went. Beam took a deep breath. We have to find out. Nate looked back at the shadows, their ghostly faces twisted with sorrow. They couldn't finish the journey. Lisa's eyes filled with tears. They're waiting for someone to break the curse. Beam's jaw tightened. Then we'll break it. We'll end this. He took the first step onto the road, his heart pounding. The air grew colder, the shadows retreating, the whispers growing louder. The others followed, their steps heavy, fear gripping their hearts. The road seemed to shiver beneath them, alive, hungry. The whispers echoed around them. Stay. Walk with us. Don't leave. The shadows followed, reaching out, their faces twisted with longing. Pat's voice broke. They're begging us to stay with them. Nate's eyes were haunted. They don't want to be alone. They don't want to be lost. Bean's voice was steady. Then we'll finish the journey for them. They walked forward, the road stretching endlessly before them. The shadows followed, whispering, crying, calling their names. The cold grew deeper, the darkness closing in, and the road kept winding, twisting, leading them somewhere, but to where? For friends Beam, Nate, Lisa, and Pat are trapped on a cursed road in the dense forests of northern Thailand, a road that defies reality, a road that whispers their names, calling them deeper into its twisted path. No matter how far they run, the road is always there, waiting, and the shadows of the lost follow, longing for escape. Now, they must face the road's curse or be trapped forever. Their footsteps echoed on the dirt road, swallowed by the darkness that surrounded them. The air was heavy, cold, pressing against their skin like icy hands. The shadows followed, whispering, their ghostly faces twisted with sorrow. Beam's jaw was clenched, his fists tight. We keep moving, no matter what. Pat's voice trembled. But where are we going? This road, it never ends. Nate looked at the shadows, his eyes filled with fear. They couldn't find the end, they're trapped here waiting. Lisa's face was pale, her eyes glistening with tears, waiting for someone to take their place. The shadows grew closer, their whispers pleading. Stay, walk with us. Don't leave. Don't let us be alone. Pat's eyes were wide with terror. They want us to stay, to be like them. Beam shook his head. No, we won't end up like them. We'll break this curse. Nate's voice was hollow. But how? This road, it twists and turns, it leads nowhere. Beam looked up, his eyes fierce. Then we'll make our own path. Lisa's voice cracked. How? We're trapped, surrounded. Beam's voice was steady. The road wants us to follow it. That's the curse. It keeps us walking until we're lost. Pat's face went pale. So if we stop following it, Beam's eyes narrowed. We break its hold on us. They stopped, standing in the middle of the winding road. The air grew colder, the shadows closing in, whispering frantically. Don't leave. Stay, please don't leave us alone. Nate shivered. They're scared. They don't want to be alone. Lisa hugged herself, tears streaming down her face. They've been here for so long. Beam's voice was firm. We can't help them if we become one of them. He looked at his friends, his eyes fierce. We have to be strong. We have to leave this road together. Pat's voice shook. But what if we get lost? What if we can't find our way back? Beam took a deep breath. Then we make our own way, no matter what. He turned, facing the dense forest that surrounded them. No path, no trail, just darkness. Beam took the first step off the road, into the unknown. The air grew colder, the shadows screaming, their whispers turning into cries. No, don't leave. Stay with us. Don't let us be alone. Lisa covered her ears, tears streaming down her face. I can't, they're so sad, they're begging us. Nate's voice shook. If we stay, we'll be trapped just like them. Pat's face was pale. But if we leave, they'll be alone forever. Beam's voice was steady. We have to break the curse, or no one will ever escape. He reached out, taking Lisa's hand. We do this together. Lisa's hand trembled, but she held on tight. Together, Nate nodded, his eyes determined. We break this curse. Pat took a deep breath, his voice firm. We end this. They stepped off the road, into the darkness. The shadows screamed, their ghostly faces twisted in sorrow. No, don't leave. Don't forget us. Please don't leave us alone. But the friends didn't look back. They walked forward, into the cold, into the dark, leaving the road behind. The shadows cried, their whispers fading, the cold lifting ... and the road disappeared. The forest was silent, the air warm, the shadows gone. The friends stood in a clearing, the sun rising over the trees. Beam's eyes were wide with disbelief. We made it. Lisa's knees gave out, collapsing to the ground. We're out, we're free. Pat looked around, tears streaming down his face. No road, no shadows, it's over. Nate's voice was hollow. We broke the curse, we walked away. Beam looked back at the forest, his eyes sad. They couldn't, they were trapped, lost, waiting for someone to break the cycle. Lisa's voice shook. They just didn't want to be alone. Nate wiped his tears. But they're free now, they can rest. Pat took a deep breath, his shoulders relaxing. We did it, we saved them. Beam nodded, his eyes filled with determination. And we'll make sure no one else gets lost on that road. They walked out of the forest, leaving the curse behind. But as they reached the edge of the trees, a cold breeze swept past them. A whisper echoed through the air, faint and distant. Thank you. The friends looked back, but there was nothing there. Only the rustling of leaves and the whisper of the wind. They left the forest, the sun shining above. But the road was still waiting, somewhere in the darkness ... for the next lost soul, to walk its cursed path. The shaking tent. Thailand's dense jungles hold secrets older than time itself. Hidden among the towering trees and twisting vines are places where spirits linger, where the past and present merge under the moonlit sky. For friends Nate, Beam, Pat, and Lisa were thrill seekers, always chasing the next adventure. When they heard about the remote waterfall deep in the heart of Khao Sok National Park, they couldn't resist. The locals spoke of its beauty, of its untouched serenity ... but also whispered warnings. No one stayed overnight near the waterfall, for it was said to be a place of restless spirits. Just old legends. Beam laughed, packing his camera. It'll be perfect for some night shots. Imagine the stars out there, Nate grinned. And we'll finally get away from the noise of the city. Just us and the wild. Lisa hesitated, glancing at Pat. You heard what the guide said about the spirits, right? Pat shrugged. Stories meant to keep people away. We'll be fine. Besides, it's just one night. Reassured, Lisa forced a smile. All right, but no ghost stories around the campfire, okay? Nate laughed. No promises. They loaded their gear and set off, excitement bubbling with each passing mile. Little did they know, they were heading straight into a place where the line between the living and the dead was paper thin. The jungle was alive. Birds called from the canopy, unseen creatures rustled in the underbrush, and the air was thick with the scent of earth and damp leaves. The trail was narrow, barely more than a path carved by wildlife. The deeper they ventured, the darker it grew, the dense foliage blocking out the sun. Beam's camera clicked rapidly, capturing the beauty around them. This place is incredible. It feels ancient, like stepping back in time. Lisa shivered. Yeah, a bit too ancient. It feels like we're being watched. Pat chuckled. You're letting the legends get to you. But even Nate, always the skeptic, felt the weight of unseen eyes. He brushed it off, chalking it up to the unfamiliar surroundings. After hours of trekking, they reached a clearing by the waterfall. It was stunning. Water cascaded over jagged rocks, mist swirling in the air, creating a rainbow in the fading sunlight. It was perfect, almost too perfect. Beam set up his camera, eyes gleaming. This is going to be epic. They pitched their tents near the water's edge, laughing and joking as the sky turned from orange to violet, then deep indigo. But as darkness fell, the jungle grew silent, eerily silent. As they gathered around the campfire, Nate couldn't resist. So about those legends, Lisa groaned. I knew it. You promised no ghost stories, Pat smirked. Come on, Lisa. It's just for fun. Nate leaned in, his face illuminated by the flickering flames. The locals say this place is haunted by a spirit known as Nam, the Water Mother. Long ago, a woman lived by this waterfall, waiting for her husband who went to war. Every night, she'd light a lantern, hoping to see him return. Beam shivered, more from the story than the cold. Did he come back? Nate's voice dropped to a whisper. No, he died in battle, but she didn't know. She waited night after night until she wasted away. They say her spirit is still here, waiting, searching for him. Lisa hugged her knees. That's sad. Pat laughed. Just a story. Spirits aren't real. Nate continued, his voice low. They say she walks the jungle at night looking for her lost love. And if she finds someone ... she takes them, hoping it's him. That's why no one stays here after dark. They say you can hear her outside your tent waiting to see if it's him. The wind rustled the leaves, making them all jump. Beam forced to laugh. Nice try, Nate, but we're not falling for it. Nate grinned, but his eyes flicked to the darkness beyond the firelight. Yeah, just a story. But as the flames crackled, they couldn't shake the feeling that they were not alone, that something was out there watching. Exhausted, they retreated to their tents. Beam lay awake, his mind replaying the story. Outside, the jungle was deathly quiet, not even a whisper of wind. He closed his eyes, telling himself it was just nerves. Then he heard it. A faint rustling like footsteps moving around the tents. Beam's eyes snapped open. He listened, heart pounding. The sound grew louder, circling the camp, slow and deliberate. It was too heavy to be an animal, too rhythmic to be the wind. He reached for his flashlight, hand shaking. Nate, he whispered. Pat, is that you? No answer. The footsteps stopped, just outside his tent. Beam held his breath, paralyzed. The fabric of his tent quivered, as if something brushed against it. Then, slowly, it began to shake softly at first, then more violently, as if someone was clawing at it. His blood ran cold. Who's there? No response, just the relentless shaking, more aggressive, more desperate. He unzipped the tent, flashlight beam piercing the darkness. But outside there was nothing, just the trees, the mist, and the silent waterfall. No footprints, no signs of life. The jungle was empty. But then a whisper floated through the air, soft and mournful, carried by the breeze. A woman's voice, hollow and echoing. It was calling his name. The jungle was still. The air was thick, heavy with moisture and an unsettling silence. Beam's heart raced as he sat outside his tent, flashlight shaking in his grip. There were no footprints, no signs of life, yet he knew what he heard. Something had circled his tent, shaking it with a desperation that still echoed in his mind. And then ... that whisper, that haunting, mournful voice calling his name. He shivered, glancing at the others' tents. Had they heard it too? Morning brought light, but not comfort. The sun peeked over the treetops, casting golden rays on the mist still clinging to the ground. Pat stretched, yawning as he emerged from his tent. Man, that was a good sleep. This place is perfect. Nate nodded, rubbing his eyes. Yeah, I didn't wake up once. Out like a rock. Lisa joined them, already munching on a granola bar. Same here. I thought I heard something, but it was probably just animals. Beam looked at them, stunned. You didn't hear it, the footsteps. The whispering. They stared at him blankly. Nate frowned. What are you talking about? Beam's voice shook. Last night something was outside my tent. It was walking around and then my tent it was shaking, like someone was trying to get in. And then I heard her, she called my name. Pat laughed. Nice try, Beam. If you wanted revenge for Nate's ghost story, you're going to have to do better than that. Beam's face turned pale. I'm not joking, Pat. I heard it. I felt it. Lisa's smile faded. Wait, are you serious? Beam nodded. It wasn't an animal. It sounded human but not. Nate put a hand on Beam's shoulder. Hey, maybe you were just tired. Your mind could have played tricks on you. It's easy to get freaked out in a place like this. Beam wanted to believe that, but the voice was too real, too cold. They decided to investigate. If it was an animal, there would be tracks. But as they circled the camp, the ground was undisturbed. No footprints, no signs of struggle. The only marks in the dirt were their own. Beam's voice wavered. That's impossible, I heard it walking right here. Lisa wrapped her arms around herself. There's nothing here, nothing at all. Pat scoffed. See, it was just your imagination. This place is getting to you. But Nate's eyes lingered on the trees, his jaw tight. Let's not joke about it, just in case. Beam looked at him, surprised. You believe me? Nate didn't answer. Instead, he turned towards the waterfall, his expression guarded. Let's just be careful, all right? They spent the day exploring the area, trying to shake off the morning's tension. The jungle was stunning, filled with vibrant greenery and the constant hum of life. Yet, there was a heaviness in the air, a feeling of being watched. Beam's paranoia grew. Every rustle of leaves, every whisper of wind made him flinch. But he kept silent, not wanting the others to think he was losing it. They returned to camp as the sun began to set, the sky painted in hues of orange and pink. They ate in silence, no one daring to mention the night before. But as darkness fell, the uneasy atmosphere returned, wrapping around them like a shroud. The jungle grew quiet again, an oppressive silence that made the air feel heavy. The fire crackled, its light flickering against the surrounding trees. Shadows danced, twisting and stretching in unnatural ways. Lisa huddled closer to the fire. I hate how quiet it gets here, it's like the jungle is holding its breath. Pat threw another log into the fire, forcing a laugh. You're all just spooked from the ghost story. There's nothing out here but us and a bunch of trees. But even Pat's bravado was wavering. His eyes flicked nervously to the darkness beyond the light's reach. Beam sat apart from them, eyes fixed on his tent. He couldn't stop replaying the sound, the footsteps circling him, the tent shaking, and that whisper, his name, spoken with such longing, such sadness. Nate watched him carefully. Hey, Beam, you good? Beam shook his head. What if the legend is real? What if she's out there waiting? Pat groaned. Come on, man. We're not seriously buying into this, are we? But Lisa's face was pale. Nate, you said she was waiting for someone. What if she thought Beam was him? A chill ran through them all. Nate's jaw tightened. Enough. It's just a story. We need to get some sleep. We've got a long hike back tomorrow. But no one moved. The fire crackled, the shadows twisted, and the jungle watched in silence. They eventually retreated to their tents, though sleep didn't come easily. Beam lay awake, heart pounding at every sound. His flashlight was clutched tightly in his hand, ready to be switched on at a moment's notice. Hours passed, the night dragging on. The silence was suffocating. Then it started again, slow, deliberate footsteps. Crunching leaves, moving around the camp. Beam's blood turned to ice. He held his breath, listening. The footsteps circled his tent, just as before, heavy, rhythmic to human ... Then the shaking started. His tent quivered, fabric rustling as if someone was running their hands over it. The shaking grew more violent, the tent poles bending under the pressure. It was as if something was trying to get in, desperate, clawing. Beam's mouth went dry. He squeezed his eyes shut, trembling. Go away, please go away. The shaking stopped. Silence fell, then that whisper. A woman's voice, so close it felt like she was inside the tent with him. Beam. His eyes shot open, flashlight beam cutting through the darkness. Nothing. The tent was empty. But outside, the footsteps continued moving away, slow and dragging, like someone walking through water. They headed towards the waterfall, fading into the night. Beam couldn't breathe. The voice echoed in his head, haunting and mournful. She was still searching, and she would not stop until she found him. Beam lay frozen inside his tent, his flashlight trembling in his grip. The whisper had been so close, chilling his bones. Beam, her voice was mournful, echoing with an ancient sorrow. And then the footsteps, slow and dragging, moving towards the waterfall before fading into the night. He wasn't imagining it. She was real. And she was looking for him. But why? The first light of dawn found Beam wide awake, eyes bloodshot and hands shaking. He stumbled out of his tent, greeted by the sounds of birds and rustling leaves. It was a beautiful morning, but he felt no relief. Nate was already up, boiling water for coffee. He looked up, concern evident. You look like hell, man. Another rough night, Beam's voice was hoarse. She was here again. Pat's laughter was hollow as he joined them, still on about that ghost. Seriously, Beam, you're freaking yourself out. But Beam wasn't backing down. I heard her. She shook my tent. She called my name. Lisa paled. Wait, you heard her voice? Beam nodded. She sounded so sad. So lonely. Nate's expression darkened. This isn't funny anymore. Pat rolled his eyes. Come on, it's just the wind, or an animal. We're in the jungle. Weird noises happen. Beam snapped. Then where are the footprints? Huh? If it was an animal, where are the tracks? Pat fell silent, avoiding his gaze. Nate took a deep breath. All right, let's think this through. Beam, what exactly did you hear? Beam recounted the events, his voice trembling. The footsteps, the tent shaking, The whisper, his name spoken with such sadness. Nate looked at the others. It matches the legend. She's looking for someone she lost. But why is she calling Beam? Lisa's voice wavered. Do you think she thinks Beam is him? Pat scoffed, but his eyes flicked nervously to the trees. This is ridiculous. Nate's jaw tightened. Maybe, but we're not taking any chances. They decided to visit the waterfall, hoping to find some logical explanation. The trek was silent, tension hanging heavy in the air. Beam felt her presence, cold and mournful, lingering in every shadow. The waterfall was beautiful, cascading down the rocks with a soothing roar. But the clearing felt wrong, empty yet suffocating, as if something was watching, waiting. Beam shivered. I don't like this place. Nate's eyes scanned the area. This is where she waits according to the legend. Pat threw a rock into the pool. And what? We're supposed to just believe there's some ghost hanging around. Beam turned on him. You didn't hear her. You didn't feel how cold it was. How sad. Pat opened his mouth to argue but fell silent, guilt flickering across his face. Lisa hugged herself, looking around nervously. Can we go back? I don't feel safe here. Nate nodded. Yeah, let's go. We'll pack up and head out today. They turned to leave and that's when they saw them. Around the pool's edge, faint but unmistakable, were footprints. Small, delicate like those of a woman. Beam's blood ran cold. No way. The prints led from the water, circling a patch of ground, then stopped abruptly, as if she had just disappeared. Pat's face turned pale. That doesn't make sense. There's no other tracks. Lisa backed away, eyes wide. She was here, she was watching us. Nate's voice was firm, but his face was pale. We're leaving, now. They rushed back to camp, panic quickening their steps. As they packed, the air grew heavy, the jungle's silence pressing in on them. Then the wind picked up, whispering through the trees. Beam's heart dropped. It was the same mournful voice drifting on the breeze. Beam. He looked at the others. They heard it too. Lisa's face was white as a sheet. She's calling you. Pat's hands shook as he stuffed his sleeping bag into his pack. This isn't funny. This isn't funny at all. Nate's face hardened. We're leaving. Don't stop, don't look back. They began their hike out, moving quickly through the dense jungle. But no matter how fast they walked, the whisper followed. Beam. Sometimes close, sometimes distant, always sad, always searching. The trail seemed longer than before, winding endlessly through the undergrowth. Beam's legs burned, his breath ragged, but he couldn't stop. Not with her so close. Nate took the lead, cutting through vines and branches. Stay together, don't fall behind. Lisa stumbled, tears streaming down her face. She's everywhere, she's following us. Pat's bravado was gone, his voice trembling. Why is she after Beam? What does she want? Beam's eyes were wild. I don't know. I don't even know who she is. Nate's jaw tightened. It doesn't matter. We're getting out of here. But the jungle didn't want them to leave. The path twisted, doubling back on itself. Trees seemed to close in, their branches reaching like skeletal hands. And the whisper followed, mournful and relentless. Beam. It grew louder, more desperate, echoing through the trees. The air turned cold, breath misting in front of their faces. Beam stumbled, collapsing to his knees. The weight of her sorrow was crushing, suffocating. He felt her pain, her longing, her endless search. Lisa screamed, she's here. Nate pulled Beam to his feet. Get up, we're almost out. But the jungle was a maze, shifting and twisting around them. And she was getting closer. Beam. Her voice was in his ear, cold and empty. He turned, eyes wide, and saw her. Just for a moment, a figure in white, standing among the trees. Long hair falling over her face, hands outstretched reaching for him. Her sorrowful eyes met his, hollow and pleading. Then she was gone, vanishing like mist. Beam's heart stopped. She was real. She was real, and she wanted him. Nate shook him. Don't look at her, run. They broke through the trees, the jungle's grip finally releasing them. Ahead was the dirt road, their car waiting in the distance. But the whisper followed. Beam. It echoed through the trees, fading as they ran. But it didn't leave him. She would never stop searching, not until she found him. Beam and his friends fled the jungle, haunted by the sorrowful whispers of the ghostly woman. Her voice echoed through the trees, her pain palpable, her presence relentless. They barely escaped, but she wasn't finished with them yet. She was still searching for him. The car ride back to Bangkok was silent, the group too shaken to speak. Beam sat in the passenger seat, eyes vacant, mind replaying the moment he saw her. Her hollow eyes, her outstretched hands, her mournful whisper, "Beam." Even now, her voice lingered, a ghostly echo in his mind. Nate glanced over, concern deepening. "Hey, you okay?" Beam blinked, forcing a weak smile. "Yeah, just tired." But Nate knew better. They all did. Something had followed them out of that jungle. Pat broke the silence, his voice shaking. "We're never going back there. Ever." Lisa hugged herself, staring out the window. She was real, wasn't she? Nate's jaw tightened. Yeah, she was real. Beam shivered, feeling the chill again. Why me? Why was she calling my name? No one had an answer, but they all felt the same fear, the same sorrow. She was looking for someone. Someone she lost, and she thought it was Beam. That night, Beam couldn't sleep. He lay in his dark room, staring at the ceiling, exhaustion weighing him down. But every time he closed his eyes, he saw her face. The sorrow, the pain, the emptiness. His phone buzzed. A message from Nate. "Nate, can't sleep either. Feel like she's still here." Beam's heart skipped. He typed back quickly. "Beam, you heard her too." "Nate, I thought I heard my name in the wind, like she followed us back." Beam sat up, cold sweat breaking out on his forehead. Could she really have followed them all the way back to the city? Then he heard it, a whisper, soft and mournful, drifting through his window. "Beam." He froze, his heart pounding. It was her. He could feel her presence, cold and heavy. He slowly turned to the window. It was closed, the curtains drawn, but the whisper slipped through the glass, echoing in his room. "Beam." He leapt out of bed, ripping the curtains open. The street was empty, dimly lit by the street lamps. No one was there, but he felt her watching. From the shadows, from the darkness, she was here. She had followed him. Beam couldn't take it anymore. He needed to know who she was and why she was haunting him. The next morning, he gathered his friends. "We have to go back." Pat's eyes widened. "Are you out of your mind? After everything that happened?" Beam's face was pale, his eyes hollow. "She followed me home. I heard her last night." Lisa shivered. "I heard her too in my dreams." She was crying. Nate's face was grim. "She won't leave us alone. Not until she finds what she's looking for." Pat's anger faded, replaced by fear. "What does she want?" Beam's voice trembled. "I don't know, but I need to find out." Nate nodded. "We go back to the waterfall. We end this." Reluctantly, Pat agreed. "Fine, but this is the last time. I'm not letting some ghost ruin my life." Lisa squeezed his hand. "We'll do it together, whatever it takes." Beam looked at his friends, gratitude filling his heart. "Thank you, I don't think I can face her alone." Nate's eyes were firm. "You won't have to." They returned to the jungle, the air heavy with anticipation. The path to the waterfall seemed different, darker, as if the forest itself was watching. Beam's chest tightened with each step. She was waiting for him just ahead. They reached the clearing, the waterfall cascading down the rocks, but the air was cold, unnaturally so. The sunlight didn't reach the pool's edge, shadows clinging to the rocks. Beam stepped forward, his voice trembling. "I'm here, what do you want from me?" Silence. Then the wind picked up, swirling around them. It was cold, freezing, and carried with it a familiar whisper. "Beam." He shuddered. "Why are you calling me?" A figure appeared by the water, pale and ghostly. Long hair flowed over her white dress, her head bowed. Her hands were outstretched, reaching for him. Beam's heart stopped. It was her. Nate pulled him back. "Stay away from her." But Beam couldn't move, his eyes locked on hers. Her face was beautiful but hollow, eyes filled with an unbearable sorrow. She spoke, her voice echoing with grief. "Where did you go?" Beam's heart twisted. I don't know you." Her face crumpled, tears streaming down her cheeks. "You left me by the water." He took a step back, fear and pity swirling within him. "No, I didn't." Nate grabbed his arm. "Beam, we need to go." But the ghost floated closer, her sadness overwhelming. "Why did you leave me?" The air grew colder, her sorrow turning to anger. Her voice distorted, echoing with despair. "Why didn't you come back?" The ground shook, the wind howling around them. The waterfall roared, the pool churning violently. Beam fell to his knees, his chest heavy. I'm sorry, I didn't leave you. Her face twisted, hollow eyes boring into his. You are him, Nate shouted. We're leaving, now. Beam felt himself being pulled away, his friends dragging him from the clearing. But his eyes remained locked on hers, her face contorted with grief. She reached out, her voice broken. Don't leave me again. The forest echoed with her sorrow, her figure fading into mist. And then she was gone. The jungle was silent once more, the air warm again. But her sadness lingered, a weight on their hearts. They stumbled back to the car, exhausted and shaken. No one spoke. Beam looked back at the trees, her whisper echoing in his mind. Don't leave me. His chest tightened. She wasn't finished with him. Not yet.